Hello, one and all, Jake here. If you haven't seen my video, How I Will Fix My Life in 2024, I highly recommend watching that before watching this video. I think it's a prerequisite to understanding the things I will be talking about in this video. So now I'm assuming you've all watched it. Okay, so in that video, I go over my 2024 New Year's resolutions. I will recreate the list in this video for those of you who were too lazy to watch the original. I split it into 3 things I wanted to cut out of my life and 6 things I wanted to add to my life. So just to reiterate what the list was, the cuts were watching YouTube and Twitch, working a bunch of hours, and going through the day unplanned. I called it ad hocness. I wanted to be a bit more organized and scheduled in my life. And then the additions I wanted were more sleep, um, making more YouTube and Twitch videos. Specifically, I had a goal of uploading 12 videos uh, last year. Yeah, we kind of saw how that went. Adding additional hobbies into my life, adding more exercise into my life, adding more video games into my life. And then the last, goal I had was if I could, it wasn't a priority, but find a little romance. The purpose of this video is to evaluate whether was able to accomplish all those New Year's resolutions. I know it's already halfway through the year, but better late than never for this evaluation. And the most straightforward way to go about doing that would be to just look at the list and each item, put an X if I didn't do it and put a check mark if I did. But some of these goals weren't really objectively defined, and sometimes life takes you in mysterious directions. And so instead of doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize my life in 2024 and through the first half of 2025, all the way up to the present day. So you're going to hear a lot of context around me accomplishing these goals before I go through and evaluate whether or not I actually did them. It'll make sense when I'm finished my story here. And so let's begin. Starts out pretty simple. January 2024, I did quit watching Twitch and YouTube. I quit cold turkey, and I didn't really miss it, to be honest with you. Didn't really struggle with the urge to watch videos or anything like that. I also started to be less hard on myself when it came to working a bunch. Started, leaving work after 8 hours of work instead of like wanting to go over. So I ended up with more free time on my hands, and I spent it on video games or whatever. I think I went through a Grand Blue Fantasy Versus phase. I went through a Antimatter Dimensions phase. That was a fun one. But pretty quickly, just working in video games, that's not much of a life, right? I realized that. And so I decided to go ahead and reach out to a nearby karate dojo. It's about 2 minutes from where I live. And I asked the sensei, hey, what can I do to join? I came in for a class and I bought a gi. And just like that, I started my training journey in Uechi-ryu Karate. And so for a couple weeks, my life was I would go to work, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would go to karate. Mondays and Wednesdays, I would cook, try to have leftovers so I don't have to cook before the class. And then on weekends, I would go to Planet Fitness and hit arms or whatever. And to be honest, this was a very relaxing time in my life. Like it was a good routine, but I wanted something a little more, something to do when I wasn't at karate and I wasn't cooking for myself or cleaning the house or doing some chore, something to do with my leisure time besides just video games. Now here's where I need to introduce you to Frogger 2 Swampy's Revenge. This is a video game released in 2000 for the PlayStation, Dreamcast, Windows, and almost a Nintendo 64. True story, you can look this up. Now, growing up, I was more of a Frogger 1 fan, but I did, have a brief stint with Frogger 2 when I was a teenager. And for some reason, I had the urge to play Frogger 2 again. I'm sure all of the people in the audience who have tried to play old PC games are well aware that sometimes there are hurdles. And so I ended up tracking down a Frogger community Discord where I encountered an individual, a very helpful individual named KneeSnap. KneeSnap told me that he had a project on the back burner to make Frogger 2 playable on modern PCs. Now, you'd think this would be incredibly difficult and time consuming, but it turns out that he had the original source code to the game. So it was just a matter of understanding the existing code base and changing a couple of aspects of how the game works. For example, it no longer loads from the Windows registry file. I'm sure, again, you retro PC gamers are aware of the hurdles of editing the registry these days. But this is just one thing that he wanted to do, and he was focused on other projects as well. And so I volunteered to help him with this project. This project has since been released, and I will leave a link in the description to the GitHub repo. This game is considered abandonware, so you are free to download and play it. And even if you don't, I'm also going to leave a link in the description to the story of how KneeSnap recovered the source code from a hard disk. I promise you, it is more involved of a story than I'm describing. It is quite the read. Now, I don't want to pretend like I made a bunch of massive sweeping changes to the code base to make the game function on Windows 11. A lot of the important legwork was already done by the time I got on board, but there are a couple of features I worked on. If you open the game in full screen mode and the FMVs actually show up, that's my doing. If you open the debug menu and the text is legible, it's also me. So, just a couple little things I helped out with. So let's recap. My life is work, cook, clean house, go to karate, work on Frogger 2, and if there's extra time, play video games, right? And honestly, pretty chill. Then something absolutely insane happened to me. I went on a date, and it actually went well. So well, in fact, that I went on a couple more dates. And then I started spending time with this person, maybe or maybe not calling it a date necessarily, just having them around. And this blossomed into a full-fledged romantic relationship about halfway through the year. It was official. And yeah, I ended up finding love. Something I didn't really expect to happen. I wasn't prioritizing it, but I was just, passively doing the dating apps, and this one Hinge match happened to work out. Now, my sensei in karate also teaches a judo class at a dojo about 30 minutes away from the one I go to. It's actually close to where I work. One day, I'm in karate, and he's telling me, hey, why don't you go try out my judo class, see how you like it? And I go, and man, let me tell you, judo whooped me, but that's kind of what I'm after, right? Like, this is a hobby that also works my body out, and this was exhausting me to a ridiculous degree. Judo, if you didn't know, is a grappling type art. So you're throwing people, you're wrestling people, you're struggling to get out of pins and stuff. Like it's very exhausting and very fun, but very tiring. And I'm like, okay, I can definitely incorporate this into my life. I think this is killing two birds with one stone. Because when I started the relationship, the working out consistency kind of tapered off a little bit, admittedly. And this was a good replacement. It's a class with a specific time, so it keeps me accountable. I have to keep attending, even if I don't really feel like it, versus going to Planet Fitness if I am not like completely on board with it. I hadn't made a habit of going. Now things were starting to really fill up in my schedule. I would have to, get up, go to work, And then on Mondays, make food for the week. And then on Wednesdays, I would go to judo class directly from work and wouldn't get home until like 10:30 or whatever. Um, and on Tuesday and Thursday, I would go to karate, and I had a little time in between work and going to that class, but not much. And I had a relationship, so of course, I have to spend some time with my girlfriend. And here's where I might have made a bit of a miscalculation. So I do enjoy spending time with her, of course, but I did not really establish healthy limits on that. So the way my week would operate, like Monday through Thursday, I just there's hardly any time I have for myself. And then on Friday, we designated that as our date night every week. And then on Saturday and Sunday, if I was lucky, I was free, but I have a family, and sometimes we would want to do things, and she has a family, and sometimes she would bring me to do things with her family. Um, Basically, like there was very little time being spent on just me, myself. What further exacerbated this is the fact that my girlfriend was starting to hang out at my place and sleep there like every night. Like she all but lived there for a while, very early on into our relationship. And while she's here, I don't want to like leave her on her own to do her own thing. She's my guest. I want to entertain her. At least that's my mentality. I don't want to just bug her off into my room and do whatever while she's here. Like I didn't feel comfortable doing that. She probably would have given me some alone time if I asked for it, but I just didn't ask for it. And I really should have. So this is on me. And so if you've noticed that I didn't upload much to the YouTube channel last year, like I had the goal of doing, it's simply because I wasn't able to find the time to record videos and then edit them and then upload them. So I booked up like all my time and didn't leave any for myself or for leisure on my own, and it started to wear on me eventually. I wasn't even like making time to like call my family or friends and talk to them. I even ended up kind of dropping the Frogger project. Unfortunately, I guess I have people pleasing tendencies, so I didn't say anything. And this lasted all the way until, the beginning of this year when I had a conversation with my girlfriend about it. And we came to an agreement that, yeah, we should spend more time doing solo activities, both of us. So you might be thinking, oh, problem solved. Where are all the YouTube videos, Jake? But there's a difference between having a conversation like that and then actually maintaining the boundary in practice. I said what I wanted to happen, but when opportunity came to enforce the boundary, I didn't do it. I think I overbooked myself. I spread myself too thin, and I needed to correct it. Failure on my part. I apologize, but that is why the YouTube videos weren't coming out. I just wasn't making the time to do anything for myself. But very recently, my girlfriend and I have actually started to implement an actual plan for us to both get the alone time we need. And so the YouTube prospects are finally looking up. And not just YouTube, actually. See, also this year, I started going to therapy. And one thing my therapist recommended to me was starting a journal. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So I've started maintaining a journal actually, and the idea is I'm just gonna vomit all my thoughts into a text document, and then I will have material to pick at for YouTube videos, or maybe I'll make some essays, or maybe I'll make a website and post them there, or make a blog or something. I don't know, whatever medium I use to publish this material, I do want it to go out there. And I think things are looking up overall. Now, let's go back to the board and look at our resolutions, and with all that context in mind, give a fair evaluation as to whether I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish in 2024. So, number one, cuts. The YouTube and Twitch watching. Um, that stopped for a while, actually. Um, it wasn't cold turkey for that long. It was cold turkey for a couple months, and then I started watching videos here and there, but I didn't have time to like binge watch YouTube videos like I was before. So I would call that a success overall. You know, I think my relationship with YouTube and Twitch is a lot healthier now. Number two, the time I spent working. So this one was kind of weird. At first, it was going well. Then, when I kind of overbooked myself, as I explained before, there were times when I would be very bad at waking up early. It would result in me showing up to work late. So, what would happen is I would have to make up that time later, like after a martial arts class. The martial arts classes kind of go until late, like the karate goes till 9, the judo goes till 8:30 or whatever, but it's farther away. So, by the time I'm home and able to work again, it's late, and I find it difficult to like work at night and then wake up the next morning and then work again. It feels very overwhelming. It makes it feel like the time I'm spending working is more time than it actually is when you have to split into two sessions. So this is something that I need to work on again. I fixed it, and then I made all these other changes to my life. Now I need to refix it, but that's okay because I know what needs to get done at least. But if you are keeping score at home, this is an X. So hopefully, you know, the Vegas over under is aware of that. Number three, introducing more of a rigid schedule into my life. So this was kind of done by default, sort of, with the martial arts classes. Like those are not moving no matter what. Work is kind of flexible, but again, not really, because if I don't get on by 10 o'clock at least, then I'm kind of screwed. So I would say that yeah, my schedule got a lot more regularity, and it did help me manage all the stuff I was doing. You know, even though some of it fell through, the stuff that remained, I was managing to get it all accomplished. So I would call that a success. Now the additions, number zero was sleep. So that didn't exactly happen. My sleep habits are still just atrocious. I think I need to talk more in depth about this with my therapist and figure out what I can do. Just seems like, you know, whatever I try to do to wake myself up in the morning, it's just not enough. And that's the main culprit behind it all. I will get up, turn my alarm off, and go right back to sleep. That's a big problem because then I get extra sleep, and then I'm not sleeping early that night, and then it's harder for me to like get up in the morning. I just need to like figure out a way to make myself leap out of bed the first time I hear my alarm. And the next one was making more YouTube videos and streaming on Twitch. I kind of am not feeling the Twitch so much anymore, but the YouTube videos I definitely want to keep making, and I promise I will upload more than two this year. If I don't, I will delete my channel. This is an actual thing that I'm planning on doing. If I can't upload 3 videos this year, like that's just pathetic. And in addition to the YouTube channel, as I mentioned earlier, I might branch out into other methods of self-expression. I do like writing. I think it's very enjoyable and freeing, and I think my writing is kind of good. So maybe people will enjoy it, and I should find a medium to publish that besides making it into a YouTube video. I don't really like recording myself and then editing myself. It'd be great if people read anymore, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So YouTube videos it is for now, but I'll see what else I can do. The next edition was more hobbies, and yeah, as I explained, that one's covered. That's a check mark for sure. Number three is working out. The judo classes are brutal. I don't feel bad for not going to the gym because of how hard I work at judo and karate as well. The style that I do was actually made to help a bunch of poor skinny farmers get stronger. And so I don't feel so bad about not going to the gym with all these martial arts classes I'm taking. I would consider that covered, maybe with an asterisk if you want to like pick at it, but I think mission accomplished overall. The goal is there, just not the specifics of how I reached it necessarily. Number four, I wanted to play more video games, and I think I did because, one of the ways I would spend time with my girlfriend was on the couch in the living room, play a video game while she just watches. That's great. It didn't allow me to play PC games, but I was able to play something. I kind of got hooked on the Pokemon trading card game, Game Boy game. If you know, you know. That was wild. I was up till like 5 a.m. one work night playing that. What else did I play? I played Grand Blue Fantasy Versus and Antimatter Dimensions, and I went through a Pikmin phase again. I always am going through those. Recently, I've picked up some Devil May Cry 5. So yeah, I've been gaming. I'm still a gamer, all right. I would say check mark on this one. And the last ad, romance. Obviously, this is a check mark. I am in a relationship right now. So that right there is a summary of my progress. But I'm not too concerned about the number of X's and the number of check marks. What's important to me is knowing that my level of life satisfaction is going to go up and working towards things that will help it go up even further. And so as long as I'm always on that self-improvement journey, uh, I think I am in good shape. I think my mental is strong. I like my life and I like where I'm at. But that being said, do I have goals for 2025? We're already halfway through. I know, but I do have some things that I wanna just spitball. These are not going to be hard goals with specific criteria of whether I met them or not, but just general things I want to work toward. Um, Number zero, yet again, is fixing sleep. As I explained earlier, like I need to come to a solution that works for me. I'm gonna try a bunch of different stuff. The only thing I'm not willing to do is caffeine. I do not want to run on Dunkin'. I think I would rather die than do that. I'd rather continue to struggle sleeping than resort to caffeine. But there has to be like some way to harness my willpower to solve this problem. And I feel like I'm close, but if I make a breakthrough, maybe I'll make a video about it. It could help someone in the same situation. But yeah, fixing the sleep, that's number one priority. The next thing is this is a new one, learning to enforce boundaries better. Oftentimes, I'm new to the whole relationship thing. I will say I want something and we'll come to an agreement, but I have some, I guess, people pleasing tendencies. So if someone pushes against the boundary that we agreed on, I will just let them have it. And then that kind of sets the precedent that my boundaries are flexible and you can do things to like coerce me out of them, and that's not good. I need to really hunker down and stand my ground on things more. So that's what I want to do. That's something I want to focus on with regards to like interpersonal interactions. I want to start advocating for myself more and staying firm on things. And then this is something that hopefully the journaling is going to help with this. Just publish is what I'm going to call this. Whether it's a video or some other medium, a blog post, an essay on Substack, like I don't know, a tweet even. I want to express myself more. I feel like I have a lot of interesting thoughts that just stay up here and I don't share them with really anyone. And then, at that point, what is even the purpose? I just need to share things, even if it's not necessarily quality. at least I'm putting something out there. At least I am influencing other people or making them think or doing something good and having something to show for the time I spend contemplating like everything I think about. And lastly, I want to keep reading more. I got an e-reader as a gift for Christmas, and it's great. I appreciated it very much, and I have been using it. I've used it quite a bit actually, but even more would be would be even better because I do like reading, and I definitely don't dedicate as much time to it as I should though. I think I need to do it more regularly, like one chapter a night type of deal. But that's about it for this video. I know a couple people have been begging for this video to come out, so here it is. I hope it was enjoyable listening to my story for the last 18 months, the context behind my New Year's resolutions and whether I was able to accomplish them. And then my look forward next year, I'm going to go back to this video and see what progress I made towards the goals that I summarized. But that's the end of my spiel. I will say, though, that if you're watching this when it comes out, in less than 1 week, I will have another video uploaded. I know. That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, I already have it finished by the time this uploads. But I've scheduled it to release later. I don't know. Maybe I'll do some algorithm magic. And even further beyond that, I've been working on the video after that. So I have things in the pipeline. But thank you for listening to me just say a bunch of stuff, I guess. I don't know. How do people end?